guys and gals, Bob Sellers here, your resident singing fisherman. Thanks again for tuning in right here on Hook, Line, and Singer. Today I'm going to show you a neat trick, and it will make your jigs last at least 10 times longer. Stay tuned, let me show you what I'm talking about. I talked about this in a previous video, but I wanted to show you how I rig up my crappie jigs, especially when I'm crappie fishing with really small tackle. This is not my original idea. Full disclaimer there. I learned this from a guy on YouTube. He calls himself Richard Gene the Fishing Machine. If you're out there and you're a crappie fisherman, you probably know who Richard Gene the Fishing Machine is. He lives up around North Alabama and fishes Gunnersville and the Tennessee River, Wilson Dam, those type of places, and he is a fish catching rascal, and he has some very, very handy tips and stuff. And I tried this one and I really liked it. Now, I'm going to show you how I do it. I like these Mr. Crappie by Strike King jigs, 1/32 of an ounce, and I like them with that sickle hook. It's called a sickle hook. They actually call it slab slasher hooks. That's a marketing deal. But it's actually just a sickle hook. I have a jig. I have my car keys. No, I have some clippers. And I have some dental floss. If you can find unwaxed, that's the best. Let me show you what we do. Just take your clippers and right under the head of this jig, start clipping. Clip that lead off of the shank. Could be a little tricky. It's a little messy, but it's not that bad. Just keep working with it until it's all off of the hook shank. See the difference? Let me show you the difference. Now it would really be neat if I had some scales to weigh these and see what the difference is. That starts out as a 1/32 ounce jig. I would guess at most by the time you take probably a third of that lead off of there, it's probably at most 1/40 of an ounce jig. And now I'll show you the next step. Take you some dental floss. I pull off, a good 18 inches. And then, using just a simple overhand knot, I get that tied around the shank of this hook. I like to start at the bottom, so about even with the hook point on the shank. Tie that nice and tight right there. And then just start wrapping that shank. I want at least 2 layers of floss on here. just wrap it around that shank of that hook. And what the purpose of this is, if you haven't seen it in other videos of mine, this floss, instead of that slick metal hook, is a lot better surface for super gluing on a little jig. And you can get a lot more use out of the jigs that you buy if you'll super glue them on like that, instead of using, I mean, that little deal right there, that's not going to hold a jig on. It's just not. It looks good and it's supposed to be for that, but that just won't hold a jig on, not for very long. We left some tag in when we started this, when we put that first knot on here. So that's where you want to finish up. So you've got two pieces of floss to tie here, and then just tie you a couple overhand knots in them. Pull it nice and snug. Let's do another one. It may actually be better to do this up under the head. I don't really think it matters. So that is what you're left with. And now I'm just going to clip off that tag right there. And that's all there is to it. It takes just a little bit of time, but if you'll do that and have some of these in your tackle box, I think you'll like it. Now, let me show you the practicality of it. You want to get you some super glue of your choice, crazy glue, Loctite, whatever. I normally like to get the gel, but all they had was the liquid. And the liquid will probably work out pretty good for this too. So I'm going to take one of these little Crappie magnet jigs. These are some of the smaller ones that I really like. All right, to fit a jig onto a hook properly, you want to eyeball it first before you put it on there. The way I do that is I just do that, and I make a mental note. And what works pretty good for this size jig here and this is to come straight out between those little tail flaps with the hook. Keep it as straight and in the center as possible. Just like that. Now make sure everything is like you like it. That's just right. But now this is where you utilize that work we just did with the floss. Take your super glue, just put a little dab on that, on the shank of this hook. Just like that. And then push it right back up on there where you just had it. All right. Now, you give that a few seconds to dry, and it will be very hard to pull off of there because, well, it's super glued. Man, isn't that a good looking little jig right there? Makes me want to go fishing. Unfortunately, the wind here is blowing about 30 miles an hour out there. Yep, I believe it's set already. Yep. Pretty neat idea. And you know, old Richard Gene, there's probably some other old guy out there that he learned that from. That's the neat thing about fishing. You know, just keep passing it down. If you want to learn something new, sit around and listen to some old guys or watch them on YouTube, whatever the case may be. And you'll learn something. And then, well, share it with somebody else. And that's exactly what I've tried to do with you folks today. Share this little tip. I think you'll like this if you try it. It's getting to be a beautiful time of year, springtime, nothing like it.
Hey, little Houdini. She still loves to bite, but not as bad.
Hey, so I hope that's something you think you can use. Give it a try. I think you'll like that. As always, I appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate your views, your likes, your comments, your subscriptions, everything that you do to help grow this channel. May the good Lord bless you. Remember, God loves you, and so do I. Until next time, I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.